Hey Max,
Yeah?
I just discovered this really cool app called HSK Online.
Wow, that's quite a coincidence because I'm just about to give a review about the HSK Online App. Roll the intro! Hello everybody and welcome back to the LTL Mandarin School YouTube channel with myself, Max from Team Marketing. Now this week we wanted to bring you something a little bit different, something that a lot of our students ask us about all the time. What are the best apps to learn Chinese? Now there are so many apps out there, it almost feels like a bit of a minefield and you have no idea where to start. That's where we come in. Hopefully we provide you with some of the better Chinese learning apps, and what we want to do is review them as we have done already on our blog. First link plug right up there. So the first one we're going to start with is an app called HSK Online, which is this app here. Now, although this app is solely driven towards HSK, the exam and passing it, I would still say that this is incredibly useful even if you're not a HSKer, let's say. Take myself for example. I have no need to take the HSK exam, I don't want to, but I use this app every day when I ride the metro because it helps me learn new vocabulary, it helps improve my grammar, and it also helps my sentence structure. So the idea of this review is just to give you a quick insight into the app itself, the good things, the bad things, how you could use it, and then you can decide yourself whether you wish to download it or not, because of course there are many different apps, many different styles. Everyone has different needs and wants when it comes to learning a language, so hopefully this will give you a better idea of if it's good for you. It's good for me, but it might not be good for somebody else. So we want to show you how to use the app. So when you actually log on to the app, you'll be faced with this screen here, which is broken down into a number of sections and some scrolling banners across the top which give you more information about the app and other official HSK things like prices and dates, etc. So what happens when you first download the app? You'll need to actually test your level. So if you have some sort of Chinese level now, even if it's very basic, you can take the starter test and it will define which level you're at. When you've done this, it then slots you into the perfect place. So let's say, for example, you're already at HSK 3 level. You don't need to go through HSK 1 and 2, which is incredibly tedious and very time wasting when you know everything that you need to do. So once you've completed the test, let's say, you'll be faced with a number of options here. Now I've got the HSK 5 on my screen. For HSK 1 and HSK 2 you won't have the writing section at the top corner here because HSK 1 and 2 do not include any writing. HSK 3 upwards to 6 there is writing, so it depends which section you're at depending on what you'll receive, but everybody will have listening and everybody will have reading. So we're going to go into the listening section here. And in HSK 5 you're faced with three things. You have short dialogue questions, and short passage questions. Again, this will change per level, but they're generally all relatively similar. And then all you need to do is click into one of those and you'll be faced with a question like you are here, where you'll listen to the short extract and then you'll be given a number of answers in which you have to decode it, select and move on to the next one. It's really, really simple. Also, if they speak too fast for you, you'll see a very small, cute looking turtle here at the top. You can just click that and that basically plays the same passage but slightly slower for you, meaning you can actually break down what you're listening to if it was a bit too fast for you before. So you have a number of sections. You have the short dialogue ones and then you have the slightly longer dialogue questions where you're faced with 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 questions. And then you have the short passage questions, which is even slightly longer answers there. It's all really, really useful. I cannot recommend the listening enough. It's so good for real life situations when you're in a shop, when you're in a restaurant, when you're getting train tickets. It's very easy in a classroom to think, I'm doing brilliantly, I've learnt all these new words today. But so many foreigners say that when they go out into the real world and they hear a sentence and they don't understand it, they just freeze. So it's really, really good to actually practice listening to different voices. They have male and female, very slightly different dialects as well. It allows you to get used to these situations when it comes to real life, and this is why I quite like it, because it isn't just about HSK. You can actually really practice and engage your listening. The second section across the top is called reading. obviously relatively self-explanatory, but we'll quickly go through some of the options that you have. So HSK 5, we have fill in the gap, choose the right sentence, and reading comprehension. And I just also want to mention that you have this little section at the top here, which is quite useful to analyse your performance so far. So what you can do, you can actually see how long you've studied, how many questions you've got right, and it also allows you to find out which is your weakest section. So we'll come to past exams later. For example, I took a HSK 5 past exam, and whereas my listening was very, very high, my writing was actually quite low, so I know immediately the area I need to focus on, and this app is really useful for telling you where your strengths and weaknesses lie. So if we just go into fill in the gap, you'll see that we have a long passage here, and there are sections that are blank and numbered. So our job is basically to pick the right answer from below. By reading the passage, we'll try and understand the topic, and then from there we select the answer that should go into the gap. Very, very useful. This is really good for grammar and defining your vocabulary. And the second section is called choose the right sentence. Pretty similar again, but we just have a long extract of passage. Again, it will get longer depending on your ability, and you just have to pick the answer that relates to that section of text the most. And the final one is reading comprehension, and this is where you'll have a longer passage of text, and then you have to answer questions relating to the text at the end. So it's really all self-explanatory, but again, you can focus on where your weaknesses lie, and that's what I'd recommend you do. If you're really, really good at one section, there's no need to continue to drill at home. Focus on those sections that you should improve on. And the reading section, especially when you get into the later levels, is really good for helping when you perhaps watch a film and there are subtitles. Maybe you'll see a newspaper headline, you can decode that. Magazines, it's really good because there's lots of formal grammar in the later HSK parts. The final section is called writing, which actually I find is my weakest area, but again, of course, it will differ between everyone. You'll have a number of sections, as you have again. You'll see you have your progress at the top. The first section here, and actually I find this one really useful through all levels, is arrange the sentence. So you have a sentence broken down into small chunks, let's say 4, 5, even 6 parts, and you have to build the sentence from scratch. This is incredibly useful for your grammar because they put a lot of commonly spoken sentences and grammar formats in there. Very, very easy to get wrong and get caught out, but it's also really good to practice because they'll keep drilling it into you the more you practice. Again, the rest of the sections will change depending on what level you're on. We have write a passage and write short sentences matching the pictures here in HSK 5. Relatively self-explanatory again, so I won't go into too much detail with those. Now, the section I find most useful out of all of them is called vocab training. This is basically every single word in the HSK for that specific level. So if we look here in HSK 5, you are supposed to know 1,300 words to take the exam, but to obviously pass it to a very high level. So what they do, they break it down into small sections. So each chapter, let's say, will have 10 characters, maybe 11. And what you do, you go through the chapters one by one. You can look at the word, you can look at the meaning of the word, you can then look at the word in a sentence, and then you've also got how it's used in official tests below, which I find really, really useful because you can actually see the word in a test environment and actually get familiar with how the word is used. So I would highly recommend using this section. You can go over them again and again and again, and they also sort the words by most frequently used. So the words and the levels towards the top. So for example, in HSK 5 here, we have a total of 125 lessons. The top 28 lessons are the most frequently used words. So I would focus on those even more, and then you can focus on the others after and just keep drilling them home. Don't just do them once, go back, do it again until you start to get familiar with the characters and the situation that they're used in. So the next two sections are pretty much the same, but probably the most useful, and these are especially useful if you're actually taking a HSK exam. Myself, although I'm not taking one, I just out of curiosity have taken a number of them just to see what level I was at. And I must admit it is really useful to do because you can sit and take them on the computer. HSK Online have a website which is hskonline.com, and you can take the test on your computer as if you were taking it normally. It's really, really useful. So what you can do, you can go into past exams, and it has the 10 most recent exams for each level. you can just click on that exam and it breaks it down for you. So for HSK 5 here, I have 2 parts of listening, which take 35 minutes, 2 parts of reading, which take 45 minutes, and 1 part writing, which takes 40 minutes. It tells you the total questions and how long the exam will take. You hit start the test and then you're straight into the official test. May I state that obviously your score here, if you do pass, it doesn't mean you get a HSK certificate. You'll actually need to book a HSK exam through an accredited test centre like we are here at LTL Mandarin School. So past exams and mock exams are basically the same. The past ones are just the official ones, and then you have the mock ones, which are just questions used, put together to make the exam. Try them, see how you get on with them. I highly recommend just trying them even if you're not going to take a HSK exam. I think it's really useful to see, and actually probably my favourite part is for the analysis at the end, because you get really detailed descriptions about your analysis. So in here I'll show you my one where I just scraped to pass at 60%, and it tells me that my listening was 75%, but my writing was 50% and my reading 46%. So I knew exactly where I went wrong and what I need to improve on next time. It also shows you all the questions in the exam, green for correct, red for incorrect. And as you can see as I scroll through mine here, there are clear sections where I did quite well and sections where I certainly didn't do very well and should improve on. So I found this really useful. I spent lots of time going through my wrong answers and trying to figure out how to get them right next time, so when I do take it again, I'll pass it with a much better score. The final section of the HSK Online App is called Incorrect Answers. A very smart idea and very clever, pretty obvious what it means. Any things that you've got wrong before, it puts them and groups them into an area for listening, reading and writing, and then you can just select, go in, and then you can go through your wrong answers and put them right. Very useful. Don't ignore the sections that you find difficult. I know it's easy to do, and of course you want to focus on the things that you do well at, but I would highly advise to go back to the sections that maybe you've struggled with and just repeat over and over again. Like I said about myself, the arrange the sentence one I found particularly difficult before and I'm still not fully comfortable on, so I'll do it again and again and again, and of course it will lead to good results with hard work. So there are other features in the app as well. They have this ranking list where you can see how you rank against other people, something that you might use if you're feeling particularly competitive, and you can also set your account up. This actually has a funny feature where it says your whole study duration, so it shows you how much you've studied. Quite good if you want to set times. We highly recommend taking in as much Mandarin as you can, so even if you say you don't have time, anyone can dedicate even 10 or 15 minutes of studying Mandarin every day, no matter how busy we are. Lunch break, morning, evening, there's always a small window, and even if it is just 10 minutes, keeping it in your head is really important. So the study duration can give you an idea really of how often you're studying and how much you've studied. Are you hitting your goals? Are you doing more? Are you doing less? That's quite useful. And you can also set your account up with your email address and link to HSK Online's other app, which is called Super Chinese, if you wish to do so. So that concludes the review of the HSK Online app. I really hope you found it useful. If you did, comment below, because we would love to make some more videos, and comment below with perhaps the apps that you want us to review. Of course, we've got our blog where we've got at least 20 app reviews from all kinds of different use for Chinese apps. We also have a very useful HSK exam video which we recently filmed. We wanted to answer all our students' frequently asked questions about the HSK exam, which included prices, what you need to pass, where you can take the HSK exam, what is the HSK exam, all these questions which we get asked all the time in school. We put them into one big video, and the link will be in the description below. I highly recommend you watch it if you do want to take the HSK exam. All our other links to everything that we've mentioned in this video are also in the description below. There are lots, but it's because we have lots of great content for you. I really hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I hope it was useful. Please comment below with any other apps you would like us to review. We would love to do them for you in the future. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye bye. And it's not loading.
Hey Max, I just discovered this really cool app called HSK Online. Hey Max, I just discovered this.
Should be able to carry that on.